And good afternoon, alienated parents, alienated grandparents, alienated children worldwide. Welcome to Let's Talk Real Talk with Marielle Kovacs here from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Today's guest, we have Sheena Alexandra from England, UK, and it's 6 p.m. there. We are having gorgeous weather here. I hope you're having great weather there too, Sheena. So, welcome to our podcast here on parent alienation and family domestic violence. We also speak of foster care, CAS. We speak out for anyone that is involved in taking our children illegally through the court system and never seeing our kids again. So today we have Sheena Alexandra, who is an alienated mom of 4 years. She hasn't seen her daughter since she was 11 years old. Today she's 15. And I'm going to have Sheena tell her story and how she got into all this. And just so you viewers out there know that Sheena is an investigative journalist. So she has the scoop on everything. And this is a podcast for everyone to listen to. We are limited today to about a 30-minute program, but Sheena will come back for part two. And we are so grateful to have you, Sheena. Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you, Mary. It's such a pleasure to be here. And it's funny because I don't get choked up very often. And you introducing me, I am a little choked up. So if I do drop a tear in this conversation, I do apologize.
Oh, don't apologize.
I'm so grateful to be here with you and the audience. I do feel we are a family because we've gone through such heartache and such pain. And I wish nothing like this onto anyone. I hope that people listening can learn from our experiences and our heartache. This has been the hardest thing that I've ever gone through. And I normally have very strong days. I haven't cried in a little while. But like I was saying earlier, I can cry at the drop of a penny or a coin. And sometimes it just comes in waves. But I am an alienated mom, and I have been going through this for 4 years. As an investigative journalist, I have been exposing the New World Order for 5 years. So I've been public about exposing this situation since 2019. And I believe that it was my role as an investigative journalist that got me into hot waters with the court system, the judiciary system. They call it criminal justice, but I am here to confidently let you know that the only people that are getting justice are the criminals. And the entire notion of this judiciary system is corrupt at the very core. We are dealing with an entity, a group of people that do not care about humanity. They do not care about the family unit. And their main goal is to distill heartache and pain to all the people that walk through their doors. And I know so many people around the world that this exact situation has happened to. And, you know, Mary, you know, I have a very similar story, although my length is not 19 years. I really hope and pray that my daughter will come back to me. I chose not to go through the court system. I chose to walk away because we as a human collective need to choose new paths. We need to raise our frequency and not buy in to the darkness that is being propagated inside of these courtrooms. So I am just using prayer and love and visualization in the hopes that my daughter comes back to me. And even with my ex, I have an olive branch of a friendship because what we are facing here on planet Earth as a human collective is far worse than any fight that he and I have had and any heartache that we've had as a couple. Humanity is in a very, very dark time right now, and we need to come together as a human collective and really understand what is going on here in terms of our human rights, in terms of our bodies, minds, spirits, and souls. Humanity does have an enemy, and the core of that enemy is the court system.
Yes, it is. Um, how was your daughter during the time? Like you said, you stayed out of court. How did you actually get that choice, first of all? Because many of us are dragged through the court system, whether we like it or not. I tried to be amicable. It didn't work. I was falsely arrested. So I had no choice. I had to go through criminal court and I had to go to family court. So how did you both decide on that?
That's a very, very interesting question, because when I divorced in 2012, we were living in Australia. We didn't get married in Australia. We got married in California. We had my daughter in England, and then we moved to Australia. So we were both not familiar with the divorce process. And on top of that, we didn't have any family or friends around. So we both agreed that we were not going to go through the court system. And we split everything 50-50, including my daughter. But I should have seen the signs at the very beginning. When I asked for a divorce, we were living in Sydney and we were living in a shared house. And I had flown home to America to explain the situation to my parents. And when I got back a week later, he had terminated the contract that we were on with my house and moved with my daughter into a new home, leaving me on my own to fend for myself in a foreign country and without any family or friends. And that alone was a huge shock. But I was balancing the fact that I was so happy to get out of the marriage. I was so happy to have my own life again, that whatever came my way with my daughter, I would be strong enough to handle.
Mm.
And it started out equal, 50-50. But slowly, through the divorce process, I mean, looking back, oh, I see the divorce process is totally set up for parental alienation, but I didn't know that at the time. And slowly, as time goes on, I'm getting less and less time with her. He goes and moves 45 minutes away. He goes and moves 2 hours away. I was the one doing all the driving. I hadn't made any decisions. And it got to the point where I made no decisions except for one decision, which was having her take a health supplement, because I was very much into health and wellness. I had already exposed the Rockefeller medicine and the problems with our health and food and the poisons that we were breathing in. So I was really passionate about this one supplement. And that was the only decision I had made. And it got to the point where he said, "You give me every other weekend, or I'm going to take away this Juice Plus option." And I fought for 2 years because that was the last decision. And my only important decision was her health. And then I realized about narcissism and the penny dropped. And then I decided, oh, I'm going to fight this. I'm not going to be a victim of this situation. And that made it 10 times worse. I remember back then I would Google how to divorce a narcissist. Ooh, I didn't do anything proper. I had no idea about narcissism. 7 or 8 years after the divorce, the penny finally dropped. I was trying to get my power back. However, that's when I became an investigative journalist covering the New World Order. This is the situation that we're dealing with right now, with the court system, with the police, with the medical system, with the government. We are in a situation where everything related to government is a fraud. And I started speaking out about the 5G towers that were going up. And by this time I was trying to make amends with my ex, but when COVID came, I knew COVID was coming. I was explaining to my audience that we're going to experience some changes in our reality. And when the hoax hit our screens, I was telling people on day one, this is a hoax. Do not stay inside. Do not social distance. Do not wear a mask. And God forbid, do not get the solution on offer. And it was during that process of me speaking out to my audience that he pulled her away from me. And it was about 3 or 4 weeks after that situation, I was explaining to my audience about the difference between the statutory system and natural law. And I said to my audience, if we were in a different time, in a different location, and this abuse was happening to me, I would have the right to do anything to my ex. I would even have the right to kill him if my daughter was stolen in this way. And he took 2 minutes of a 30-minute conversation about me promoting peace and harmony. And he took 2 minutes out of this chat online and he took it to the police. And I got a false AVO like you, Mary. I got falsely accused of wanting to kill him. And then when the lawyer came to my door, I knew that the lawyers were fraud and I completely did not comply. They went ahead anyway without me. I chose not to go to the court system because we didn't need a lawyer for the 10 years. We didn't need a lawyer. There was no reason why we needed a lawyer right then and there. I chose to ignore it. They gave me a 2-year AVO, which I chose to annul. I went through the court system. I paid money to get it annulled. I finally go through the court system to get the AVO annulled. And they scribble some things on a piece of paper. I stood in front of the judge and she was so rude to me. And finally, they never even told me about the last trial. And they had the trial without me. They never let me know that there was going to be a trial. They had the trial without me. And the 2-year AVO that included my ex was extended to 3 years. And they added my daughter on top of it.
Wow.
And that was it.
Wow. It's amazing the games they play and how far they will go to destroy us.
Yeah.
I was a dispatcher for the military police and security, and I protected women and children and the soldiers. We were put out front line and protected all the soldiers behind us. So I know I was married to a coward soldier, and because he hid behind everybody and anybody and even his own children to protect himself through anything. And yet he was a bully through school the whole lifetime, but he always had an accomplice because he wouldn't do anything by himself. He would use this other man to help him. Well, he was a boy, he was underage, but he would pay him in alcohol, for helping him beat up somebody if they were talking to me, beat up someone if they looked at me. It didn't matter what they did. He was a bully and beat up a lot of men. And I got forced to marry this guy. So I knew him as not a narcissist, but a psychopath at a very early age. I was only 18 and I wrote about it. And I was going to be a child psychologist at the time. And it's funny, I ended up with somebody like this that I couldn't turn my back on. I needed to help him. I needed to show him what love was. And so for the whole year, we got to know each other in school. In grade 12, I was supposed to graduate. Turned out the last day of school, I said no to him, and he took it literally and haunted me through the summer holidays. I ended up going to a week away, it turned out I ended up coming home the next morning because he had raped me that night. And since then, I had a hard time running for 3 years. But they will haunt you and haunt you and haunt you. That, I have to teach these things, like educate people on the tactics that they can go, the great lengths they go to trash you, to protect their names. And yet, they get away with everything. The courts are full of innocent people.
Yes.
The
Same
criminals
with
are
the jails.
outside.
Same with the jails. I
Yeah.
mean, Mary, we are dealing with, it's funny that you say psychopaths. We are dealing with psychopaths, sociopaths, and narcissistic people behind government, behind the justice system, behind the police. I know that you are in the army, but the notion of going overseas.
I worked for the army. For the military. It was Army, Navy, and Air Force.
Yes.
All three of them combined. So I had a really high-powered job that never could go to my head. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to let you know that I only worked for them. But my ex-husband told me that it was just a job that they threw me in there in case they ever did get attacked. They would shoot me first because I'm a nobody. That's the kind of reputation he gave me. Yeah. Well, I worked for, the high power out there. It was quite a job. But yes, so finish what you were saying.
I mean, whether you work in the office or whether you work on the field or, in combat, we have no, when you understand human rights and you understand karma and the laws of nature, we do not have any rights to kill anyone. Nobody has the rights to tell us what to do, what we can and can't do. Nobody has the rights to manage your affairs when you're getting divorced, manage your children. I mean, this whole notion of people going through the court system and a woman or a man in a black robe pointing their finger and saying what you've done right and what you've done wrong. We're dealing with a class system of hierarchy. And in truth, we are all equal here on the planet. Yes. Nobody has a right, whether you put on a black robe or a costume or an army uniform, it does not make you any better than the other person. It doesn't give you rights to do things to other people. And we need to change our mindsets if we're going to get out of this mess. We need to remove our energies from these governments. They're criminal cabal guised as governments, guised as court systems, guised as police. They're all, I mean, they may be good people. They may not even know what they're doing is wrong. But just because you put a cop costume on does not give you the rights to pull anybody over and give them a ticket.
That's right. That's right. And, when I worked for the military, I had a full military uniform. I had a cap badge. I wore the army boots. I even carried a 9mm, which women proved to the military that women can carry a 9mm over a 36. Mm-hmm. And we were civilians doing it. So the military women finally got 9mm to shoot with as well. Mm-hmm. So hooray for us. There was 56 of us over the 7 years we worked, that we proved to the military that women can do it. And we did not have a big head because we wore a uniform. And most of the soldiers used to come in through the gates telling us, oh, you're not supposed to wear your shirt like that, or tuck in your shirt, or do this. Your hair is not supposed to. Like, who are you? Who are you to tell me, right? I'm not military. You cannot tell me what to do. And we could have had them charged with harassing us and stuff. But we had to understand, too, where they were coming from, because we got thrown into a position where they had to go through basic training. And we, over 24 hours, got a weapon put in our hand. And we were trained to shoot. We were trained to shoot. And it's like, whoa, we didn't even want these guns. But because of the Gulf War, I did the security for the Gulf War. And, you see soldiers coming back with PTSD and from the Afghanistan war, from all these other Persian Gulf wars and stuff, and they're all suffering, yet they can't get help. And here we had to deal with these mentally abused minds, because that's what they were. They were mentally tortured through what they went through. So when I see these alienated young kids going into the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, I go, oh gosh, you think you got problems now. You wait. Just wait. So, the armies are recruiting kids at a very vulnerable age because they're seeking love, a home, something.
Yes.
Because that's where my ex-husband went. He ran away from his mom because he was an alienated child, never had a father. And the stepfather he did get when he was 14 beat him. He was an alcoholic. So what did he get to be? The same thing, because his mom told him his dad, his biological father, was a monster since he was 9 months old. So what did he do to the court system? He told the courts, I was a monster. I was the most loving mom. I brought everybody's kids into my home. I fed them. And I'm now hearing from my adult children what an abusive, crackhead, alcoholic mother I was. I laid on the couch. I didn't feed them for days. They're 15 at the time telling this to a judge. And that's when I did it, apparently, they were 15, 17, and well, you can't go in the fridge and get food. Like, this is what I would have said if I were the judge. But here the judge has got his arm, like, she's so intrigued on all the abuse I put on to my kids, and I'm disabled. I'm in a wheelchair. And then to have an ex-husband that said 18 years ago he feared his life, to 18 years later telling the judge that, oh, she was a perfect wife. Now, how I got condemned. And, if this is why we have to keep everything documented from the beginning, because we could use it at the end. Eventually they crack. They get exposed. So this is how we have to expose the court system too, they're enabling these abusive people to take our kids so that we will fight for them in the court system. Revenue.
We are dealing with liars. We are dealing with sociopathic, psychopathic. I mean, narcissism is a behavior that everybody needs to understand. And I mean, I'm not sure who is in your audience, but I was exposing the COVID lie from day one. And that is a weapon right there. The solution on offer, I don't want to say the word in case you get banned, but that has now killed over 22 million people. Okay. And a new virus is coming in. Bird flu is on the rise. We need to really understand that these people, they lie. They don't care about our health and wellness. They want destruction here on the planet. And
they don't care about the children either.
They don't care about the children. It's up to us to change our mindsets and to create new realities, new paths to freedom, which is where my work has led me to using the common law court system, which is a court system that is above the statutory system. It's a brand new idea, but we need these brand new ideas where we are going to resolve our differences outside of this criminal cabal system, because dispute resolution needs to happen. But we can have a common law court where you've got 13 of your peers and they're hearing your story and they're trying and they're making decisions. Of course, we can't send people to jail, but jail is unlawful anyway. We need to find humane ways to resolve our issues. And I mean, the way that we're going to get to this is another solution that I did was write a book, an ebook for newlyweds to really comprehend what it means to have a license to get married and to walk down the statutory system and marry under the statutory system, because you're not just marrying your husband, you're marrying the government, and that government now is a third party in your marriage. And most of the people who are lovey-dovey and they've been married for 50 years. They have no idea that this darkness exists on the planet that is called the family court system. They don't even recognize how destructive just getting a divorce can be to your entire life if you walk down that path when you get married. So I suggest to people, bring your frequency up, get married under God. You don't need to get married under the statutory system. We don't need these licenses to get married. And then when you get a divorce, you're not going to run into the problems of walking into the family court and having a judge make decisions on your behalf.
That's right. That's right. This is what I say. Stay out of family court. Do it amicably. And if you need to get a judge or a lawyer, get someone just outside of the court. They look over your paperwork, simple signatures. I think they do that in Sweden, and then it's 100% works for them. They share the child. They make up their parenting plan, their times, because everybody has different working hours.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, Mary, if we were to do this in the common law court and the 13 people become your wedding party and they are with you through your life, through the ups and the downs, we've got a wedding party that can identify abuse, number one, can identify who the right person is and the wrong person is. They've known you for your whole life. You think a man in a robe or a woman in a robe knows who the abuser is? And the minute that they do find out who the abuser is, they protect that person at all costs. I mean,
yes.
we really need to comprehend that the judges and the whole entire judiciary system is protecting pedophiles, abusers, narcissists. That's the reality of the world that we are living in right now.
Absolutely. And it's the truth. I mean, you cannot say that they're not, because why are us parents, all millions of us, accused of the exact same thing over and over and over? We're alcoholics, we're drug addicts, we're abusers, child abusers. How many people have gone to prison over the last 60 years, 6 decades of this? Because my ex-husband, got alienated in 1960. Well, actually, it's 64 years now for him. And I've gone through stages of my own being alienated from my father for 40 years. My stepmother took him. And, this is something that needs to be recognized as well, because there are step parents that are vengeful just to keep the conflict happening. Because there are a lot of aggressive people out there that want to be power and control and show the new wife, oh, I'm taking care of your daughter and your son, so you listen to me. So they're trapped in another situation, which is now still domestic violence, because, you're being controlled, you're manipulated, and you're holding back the child from seeing their parent because your new husband said so. What? And yet that new husband, I bet, gets to see his kids, because he ain't going to put up with an ex-wife holding back his kids. But now he's taking it out on the new wife to punish the old wife. And it just goes in vicious circles.
Yeah.
So, domestic violence needs to be recognized in the family court system when they are there. If they go there, we have to really educate people today. Really, really educate them on their next stage, because you can't just all of a sudden get up and leave an abusive relationship. That's danger. And it's so hard, because you're going to get manipulated to come back anyways, because you're being either, if you leave, I'll kill myself, or if you leave, I'll kill you, I'll kill the kids, I'll kill the dog, your mother, your children, or your siblings. And it's just threats after threats after. But you know what they do? I heard in Australia there was 2,000 murders, domestic violent murders in the last years or something. I just read that this morning, and I'm going, oh my goodness, 2,000.
Yeah.
So it's hard to get away.
I don't think that the family court is going to provide any resolution. I think we need to think of new ideas, new solutions. If you know somebody that's being abused, we need to rally around that person. I'm thinking that the narcissist is not going to like their reputation to be tarnished. So we need to write articles. We need to get their reputation tarnished. We need to be thinking ahead of them in terms of what's going to impact them the most. And
Yes,
the only thing that going through the court system does is give the court system more power to break up the family unit, to generate more currency, and to ultimately stand in power that they do not deserve to have.
that's right. Yeah, they're there to do more damage
Yeah.
than anything ever possible.
Yeah.
I mean, parents are committing suicide, murder suicides. Kids are killing themselves, drugs, alcohol, the addictions, the mental health out there has gone so array that it's uncontrollable
Yeah.
because of what the court systems are doing to our kids worldwide. I mean, wow. Schools need to be educated. School teachers need to step out of the
They're
conflict.
all working together, Mary.
Yes,
They're all
I
in
know.
cahoots right now, especially. Okay, so I cover the Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030, and this is the changing of genders. We're going through a very, very risky time where the laws are changing to where if you do not support your children's gender assignment change, if you do not support them transitioning to the other sex, the principal will get involved, the cops will get involved. I mean, we need to be pulling our kids out of the school system. It's a very dangerous world out there,
It
especially
is.
right now. And the schools are in on it. The medical system is in on it. The judiciary system, the media, Hollywood, everywhere. If you go to my website, freedomcollectivefoundation.org, I have 7 areas where we need to rebuild our minds and we need to create brand new realities inside these 7, I call them pillars of dedication and service. These 7 pods, we all need to realign our reality, pulling our kids out of school, not trusting the medical system, making your food, water, and shelter. I live on a farm right now where I'm self-sufficient because we are at war right now. The government has waged war on humanity, and we are in the thick of it now. You can follow me for more information regarding these 2 topics of Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030, but the court system is at the very heart of this. And the court system is then aligned with the police and the lawyers and your bank account.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't comply, they will take money out, and then your mortgage goes on top of that, and
Mm-hmm.
your kids are in there.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, they'll take everything. You know, the moment I was falsely arrested, I couldn't go back to my home. I was kicked to the curb. They wouldn't even let me take my wheelchair, my cane. I was disabled. So for 5 months, I didn't get to see my kids. I had to live in a women's shelter for 17 months because the judge had all my assets closed. My home was in the ex-husband's name now. The London police said, "Oh, your house is only yours on paper." Well, wait a minute. I paid for that home too. You know, I worked all my life. I worked day and night. I had 3 jobs a day to support a soldier. You know, and to be humiliated like this, to be kicked to the curb, I don't think so. You know, like it wasn't me that raped me. It wasn't me that gave me black eyes or burned me. It was him. And I get punished. I get punished for the rest of my life by you because he's using my kids to hurt me. My own children are so violent, so abusive. I'm not laughing. I'm hurting. But I'd rather have a little chuckle in my voice than tears pouring down my cheeks, ready to kill myself. Like my daughter sent me a message. I don't want to do that. I'm here to live for my kids. I'm here to live for my future grandchildren. So together, Sheena, we need to do this. We need to work together worldwide. I mean, God bless you for everything you've done. And I pray for your daughter that I hope to God that she could see this. She doesn't want to end up like my daughter, raped, molested, alcoholic, hiding, can't see her grandma or her cousins because the father won't let her. It's so sad to see these kids suffering, right? But Sheena, we're already 35 minutes into the program. I don't want to keep you very long because I've got another show to start at 2
Yeah.
on foster use.
Oh,
So
they're in on it as well. Foster, all of the foster. This is a big mess.
it
We
is.
really have to shine a
It,
light on this and move forward in a brand new direction. So thank
yes.
you, Mary, for all the
You
work you're doing, and any way that I can support you or the people in the audience. My website is sheenaalexandra.com, freedomcollectivefoundation.org, and I'm on all of the social media channels. So reach out if you need anything. And yeah, Mary, if you want to do a take 2, or if there's anything that you want to talk about in the future, please invite me on.
Oh,
I'd love to say a little.
absolutely. We will have you back for part 2, and we could talk further when we got more time. I mean, you're pressed for time. We're all pressed for time. We're trying to make a difference in this world for our kids to see that we are not the losers. They were told that we are. We are here. We are strong, and we will, you know, make a difference for their children. So
Yeah.
Sheena, thank you. Don't jump off yet. I just want to say thank you for coming again. And our next guest will be Beatrice Marnie, for foster youth. So if you want to tune into that one, we're going to start a new podcast in about 15, 20 minutes. But thank you to all alienated parents, grandparents, children, and all professionals out there, doctors, lawyers, judges, any professionals, therapists. Please join us here on Let's Talk and show us that you do care for the children and that you are here to end child abuse. This is a global pandemic and we need to end it. So, but thank you everyone on Let's Talk, Real Talk, with myself, Mary Kovacs, and Sheena Alexandra today. Everyone have a great, today's Thursday, May 23rd,
Third.
2024. So thank you, everyone, and have a pleasant day. And never give up. Got to say
Yes.
that. Thank you.